Well, it's just bedlam here today at the Vanman Mansion. I tell you, I've got 4 vans I'm working on, flat out. It's raining. I can't go outside. I can't take my leads or my electric cords outside to work on the vans. I'm restricted to what I can do in the actual workshop. So I'm going to focus today on doing the furniture, assembling the furniture, getting that all ready to go so that if it's sunny next week, I got some nice weather, the rain stops, I can slip it all straight into the vans. I've got 4 vans. I need to have them finished in 1 week, and I tell you that the pressure's on. I'm Barry William Edwards. Friends just call me William because, well, that's what I prefer. 6 years ago, I set out to build myself a camping van using an old vehicle that I bought for $6,000 so that I could afford to go on holiday and not have to pay $200, $300 or $400 a night for accommodation. Running low on money and in desperate need of some good luck, and with my retirement age approaching like a freight train out of control, I had to make some decisions, and fast. This is my story. I am the Kiwi Vanman. I left school at the age of 15, and I left home not long after that. I was severely dyslexic at school, so when I left I couldn't read, write or spell or do any maths. I couldn't even look people in the eye. My self-esteem was so low. So to say my prospects were not good is an understatement. In fact, I remember my father saying to me, "Son, you'll never really amount to very much. You'll never be really successful in life because of your lack of education." It seemed like the only thing I knew how to do well when I was a kid or growing up was to make people laugh and entertain them. And I was like the class clown. And I remember getting caned 3 times in 1 day at school. 3 times in 1 day. A good old caning. And that was for clowning around in the class and being silly and making a fool of myself. I think that was a school record. I think that was a record in the history of the school. No kid's ever been caned 3 times in 1 day. I've never forgotten that. But that was all I knew how to do. Be stupid, act silly, and make people laugh. And I suppose it's no surprise that later in life I ended up making a career of it. I studied and learned about magic and puppets. I did puppet shows. I started to perform magic, and later in life I learned the piano and started to perform piano live as well. And yeah, did 2 albums, 2 CDs, 2 piano albums, which sold really, really well. Because of my dyslexia and my low self-esteem, I've always found it very, very hard to talk to people or communicate. And in those days, so it was really, really hard to get ahead in a work or a career or anything like that. It's not till I joined an organization called Toastmasters International, and that's where I really start to work on my ability to look people in the eye, speak and communicate what I'm feeling or what I was thinking. As a small boy, I looked up to my big brother. I had to. He was taller than me. But I admired him because he was a cowboy, a real cowboy. He worked on farms, rounding up sheep and cattle, riding horses, and he was tough. So tough in the morning, he'd comb his hair with the garden rake, clean his teeth with a wire brush, and trim his toenails with a chainsaw. Competition chair, ladies and gentlemen, I knew that when I grew up, I too would be a cowboy. And one day, ride the great careers of Taranaki. On my faithful horse, Silver. So I started to really work hard on the speech competitions, writing speeches, learning how to address an audience, learning how to communicate in front of 200, 300, 400 people. So I was doing competition speaking. I started to do speeches and presentations for some other large, well-known organizations. And I was voted the best public speaker in Auckland 3 years in a row, so I was pretty proud of that accomplishment considering my background and where I'd come from. And I was voted in the top 2 best public speakers, inspirational speakers in New Zealand 2 years in a row. So I was pretty happy with that. When this van building idea became an actual successful business or a viable proposition. No one was more surprised than me. You know, my first van was quite crude. It was just a bed in the back, a little gas cooker and some bottled water, and away I went. And I enjoyed myself so much, it was great. I went away for 3 days and it cost me $75 for a 3-day holiday. And I was just blown away. I thought, why didn't I do this earlier, you know? So I decided to upgrade my van, and when I did that, even though this old van was a bit of an old dunger, I actually made a profit on it. I couldn't believe it. First time in my life I've sold a vehicle and made a profit on it. And the same happened with the next van I built it. Because my experience was growing, my building skills were improving. Each van I built was a little bit better than the last one. So they just kept selling. So, and here we are today, coming up to 100 vans made and sold. This summer I'll hit 100. So I'm going to build an anniversary model. It's going to be extra special, and we're going to put that on the market. So just to have a big celebration of reaching 100 vans. There's something really important that I've learned over the years, and it's not just about building a van. It's about building a brand name, having a good, strong brand name, a name that people can trust, a reputation, a product that people know is good and they can rely on, they can trust. There's a lot of dodgy camper van builders out there, you know, they're not registered as companies, so when they keep buying vans, they'll register in their family's name or a friend's name so they can avoid paying tax, and then they don't have to be registered. So there are a lot of dodgy ones out there, and they're really servicing the tourists, the people who come into New Zealand who just want a cheap old van to look around New Zealand and then sell it and go. But they're really at risk. I mean, these dodgy old vans, the quality is not good, the safety is not good, and if anything goes wrong with the van or with what they've done in the back, you have absolutely no comeback. You're not covered by the Consumers Guarantees Act, and once you've paid your money and gone away in the van, they're not liable for anything, and they don't want to know you if anything goes wrong, you know. And it's sad that people are getting sucked into this. They say they're a brand new van build and they're a business, but they're not registered, and they have no liability or responsibility at all. And it's the tourists, the young people that just rip in to buy these cheap, dodgy old vans. They're the ones that get the trouble. So it's not good. It's not good. And that's something I've really worked hard on over the years, building up the brand name, the KVM brand, the Kiwi Vanman brand. Coming up to 100 vans, I've never had anyone come back unhappy with the product, wanted their money back, or anything gone wrong and they've come back and complained. No, never happened, never will. Why? Because the brand is a good brand. What makes it a good brand is because of the service and the product. I make sure it's good before the product goes out. Anything that happens, anything that goes wrong, anything that I'm responsible for, it gets fixed straight away. No questions asked, no argument. In fact, I'm very, very happy that they tell me, because it gives me a chance to fix it. But very, very rarely anything ever happens. Maybe they'll get a dead battery in the van or something like that after a short time after leaving. It's replaced and I pay for it, no questions asked. And this is how you build up a good reputation. This is how you build up a good brand name. And I've got 100% positive feedback, and a lot of my customers actually become friends and go camping, and we go camping together in a group with some people who want to stay in touch. And everyone knows where I live, the YouTube channel. You know, everyone who buys my products has been to Vanman Mansion, and they've been here, they get a smile, they get a handshake, they get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea and a cake. If they have the time, we go over a session, we have a training session, a handover session, so they get fully trained, and by the time they leave, they know how everything works and how to go camping successfully. And they also know that they can ring me or text me or email me anytime, and I'm here to help them and look after them and make sure they have a happy experience when they go camping.
Well, there's life here, Jim, but not as we know it. Win 'em to Enterprise, one to beam up. Make it so.